Have you ever walked out to your vegetable garden, looked at your perfectly manicured raised beds, and felt a surge of pure frustration as you spotted a thick, fleshy weed creeping across the soil? You probably spent your entire weekend pulling it up, tossing it into the compost bin, or even bagging it up for the trash. But what if I told you that you just threw away a plant that is scientifically proven to be better for you than high-end olive oil? What if that annoying weed actually contains 3 times more omega-3 fatty acids than a fresh fillet of wild salmon? Today, we are talking about a garden miracle that literally seems to grow in 5 minutes after a summer rain. It is the ultimate secret for the lazy gardener who wants maximum yield with zero physical effort. By the time this video's over, you're going to stop fighting nature and start harvesting the most powerful superfood growing in your backyard right now. But I have to ask you before we start, have you been secretly poisoning or pulling up your best crop without even knowing it? Let me know in the comments if you are guilty of this, because today we are going to completely flip everything you thought you knew about gardening. To truly understand why this plant is a total game changer for your homestead, we have to travel back in time. For thousands of years, ancient civilizations across the Mediterranean, Asia, and the Middle East did not view this plant as a nuisance. To them, it was a vital, life-saving crop. The plant we are talking about is purslane. While modern agricultural companies have trained us to obsess over perfectly clean dirt and rows of fragile, high-maintenance vegetables, nature has been quietly offering us a resilient survivor. Purslane is a succulent that has evolved to thrive in the harshest conditions on planet Earth. It works completely differently than your delicate lettuce or spinach. It uses a specialized type of photosynthesis that allows it to lock its pores during the blistering heat of the day to conserve water, and then open them at night to breathe. This incredible biological adaptation means it requires absolutely no pampering from you. It acts like a botanical solar panel, converting pure sunlight and neglected soil into a massive harvest of crisp, lemony greens. It is time we stop viewing our gardens as battlegrounds against weeds and start seeing them as self-sustaining ecosystems where the easiest plants to grow are often the ones we need the most. Let us start by addressing the biggest claim I made, because it sounds completely impossible. How can a weed possibly have 3 times more omega-3 fatty acids than salmon? Most of us have been brainwashed into thinking that if we want a healthy heart and a sharp mind, we need to spend a fortune on fish oil pills or expensive seafood. But fish actually get their omega-3s from consuming algae, which are plants. Purslane has completely bypassed the fish and produces these essential fatty acids directly in its leaves. It contains the highest concentration of alpha-linolenic acid of any leafy green vegetable ever tested by scientists. Just 1 cup of these fresh, crunchy leaves gives your body a massive dose of brain-boosting nutrients. And the best part is that you do not need a boat, a fishing rod, or a massive grocery budget to get it. You just need to step outside to your garden path and bend down. This is the absolute peak of self-sufficiency. You are growing premium nutrition right next to your tomatoes, and it does not cost you a single penny in fertilizer or care. Now, what about the olive oil comparison? We all know that the Mediterranean diet heavily relies on cold-pressed olive oil for its powerful antioxidants and heart-healthy properties. But growing an olive tree, waiting a decade for it to mature, harvesting the fruit, and pressing the oil is incredibly labor-intensive. It is definitely not lazy gardening. Purslane, on the other hand, delivers a similar payload of powerful antioxidants, including high levels of vitamin E, vitamin C, and beta-carotene, without any of the waiting or the heavy machinery. The compounds in these thick, succulent leaves help fight cellular damage in your body, just like the finest olive oil does. Think of it as a protective shield for your health, growing wild in the cracks of your raised beds. Instead of spending your hard-earned money on imported bottles of oil, you can toss a handful of these fresh greens into your daily salad. It provides that same heart-protecting magic, but it comes straight from your own soil, fresh, vibrant, and alive. You might be wondering about this whole idea of it growing in 5 minutes. While it might not literally sprout and fruit while you drink a cup of coffee, the growth rate of purslane is absolutely explosive compared to any other vegetable you cultivate. When the long, hot days of midsummer arrive, and your carefully planted spinach and lettuce bolt and turn bitter, purslane is just waking up. If a quick summer thunderstorm rolls through and drops some rain on your garden, purslane responds with astonishing speed. Its tiny seeds germinate faster than radishes, and the plant expands its fleshy red stems across the soil almost visibly from day to day. It feels like you turn your back for just 5 minutes, and suddenly there is a lush green carpet covering your bare soil. This hyper-fast growth cycle is a massive advantage for the lazy gardener. You do not need to start it indoors under expensive grow lights, and you do not need to carefully harden it off. It just waits for the perfect moment and then explodes into an abundant harvest before you even realize what is happening. One of the greatest myths in traditional gardening is that bare soil is healthy soil. We have been taught to grab our hoes and tillers to aggressively scrape away anything that is not our main crop. But nature absolutely hates bare soil. When the sun beats down on exposed dirt, it bakes the life out of the beneficial microbes and evaporates all your precious moisture. This is where purslane becomes your garden's best friend. Because it grows low to the ground and spreads outward in a thick mat, it acts as the perfect, free, living mulch. Imagine throwing a protective, cooling blanket over the roots of your prized heirloom tomatoes and bell peppers. That is exactly what purslane does. It shades the soil, dropping the ground temperature by several degrees, and locks in the humidity. You will find yourself dragging the heavy garden hose out way less often. Instead of buying expensive straw or wood chips that might carry chemicals, you can just let this edible succulent do the heavy lifting for you. Let us talk about the root system of this incredible plant, because it is doing hidden work beneath the surface that will save you a ton of back-breaking labor. When we plant typical shallow-rooted vegetables, they quickly exhaust the top few inches of the soil. We then feel forced to haul heavy bags of compost and synthetic fertilizers to replenish it. But purslane is built differently. It sends a strong, deep taproot far down into the dense, compacted layers of your earth, where other plants simply cannot reach. Think of it as a biological mining operation. It drills down and pulls up essential trace minerals like magnesium, calcium, and potassium. As the purslane grows, it stores these valuable minerals in its fleshy leaves. When the season ends, or if you decide to chop and drop some of the leaves onto the soil surface, those deep-mined nutrients are released right into the topsoil for your other plants to use. It is literally fertilizing your garden for free, breaking up hard-pan soil and saving you from ever having to double-dig a garden bed again. Of course, a major concern for any gardener is safety and proper identification. The last thing you want to do is eat the wrong plant. Thankfully, identifying true purslane is incredibly easy once you know the 3 simple rules. First, look for the thick, fleshy, rubbery leaves that resemble miniature jade plant leaves. They are shaped like tiny little teardrops. Second, inspect the stems. They are smooth, completely hairless, and have a distinct reddish or purplish tint to them. And third, the absolute most important test is the snap test. When you break a stem of true purslane in half, the sap inside is totally clear and watery. This is crucial because there is a toxic look-alike called hairy stem spurge. Spurge has thin, flat leaves, hairy stems, and when you break it, it bleeds a sticky, milky white sap. Remember the golden rule: clear sap is safe and delicious. Milky sap is a weed you need to avoid. Once you learn this simple distinction, foraging right in your own backyard becomes completely stress-free and wonderfully rewarding. How many times have you carefully planted a row of expensive vegetable seeds only to watch them shrivel up and die because you missed watering them for just 2 days during a heat wave? Traditional gardening can sometimes feel like a full-time babysitting job, but purslane is the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it crop. Because it is a succulent, its leaves are practically miniature water storage tanks. It stockpiles moisture during rainy days and holds onto it with an iron grip. I have personally seen purslane thriving in the cracks of a concrete driveway during a blistering drought, looking as green and vibrant as ever. If you are aiming for self-sufficiency, you need crops that will not fail you when the weather turns harsh. This plant guarantees that even if your irrigation system breaks or you go away on a summer vacation, you will still come home to a fresh, nutritious harvest. It removes the stress and the constant anxiety of watering, making your homesteading journey so much more enjoyable and relaxing. Harvesting purslane is a dream come true for anyone who hates replanting. With crops like carrots or radishes, you pull the plant out of the earth, eat it, and then you have to start the whole laborious process over again. You have to prep the soil, sow the seed, water it gently, and wait weeks for a new crop. But purslane uses the magical cut-and-come-again method. When you want a fresh salad, you simply take a pair of scissors or your pruning shears and snip off the top few inches of the leafy stems. You leave the base of the plant and its deep roots completely intact in the ground. Within just a few days, the plant responds to the pruning by pushing out even more branches and growing thicker and bushier than before. You can harvest from the exact same plant over and over again from early summer all the way until the first frost. It is a continuous, unstoppable fountain of food that requires zero tilling and zero reseeding on your part. Pest control is usually the most frustrating part of organic gardening. We spend hours picking caterpillars off our cabbage, spraying neem oil on our zucchini, and fighting off swarms of aphids. It is exhausting, messy work, but purslane seems to possess a natural immunity to almost all common garden pests. The thick, waxy cuticle on its leaves is simply too tough for delicate insects to chew through. Slugs and snails will crawl right past a lush mat of purslane to get to your tender lettuce. Aphids have absolutely no interest in its tough stems. This means you do not need to mix up any organic sprays. You do not need to buy floating row covers, and you never have to worry about finding holes chewed in your harvest. It is a completely hands-off crop. For a lazy gardener, finding a plant that the bugs refuse to eat is like striking gold. You get 100% of the yield for yourself without having to share a single leaf with the local insect population. Now, let us talk about the culinary side, because being healthy is great, but it has to taste good too. If you have never eaten purslane, you are in for a wonderful surprise. It does not taste bitter like dandelion greens, and it is not tough like mature kale. It has a delightful crisp crunch, very similar to a fresh cucumber, combined with a bright, slightly lemony, citrus-like flavor. This subtle tartness comes from the malic acid it stores up during its nighttime breathing cycle. Because of this unique flavor profile, it is incredibly versatile in the kitchen. You can chop it up raw and make it the star of a summer salad. You can blend it into your morning smoothie for a massive nutrient boost that will not ruin the taste of your fruit. You can even toss it into soups and stews during the last few minutes of cooking, where its natural mucilage actually helps to thicken the broth beautifully. It is a gourmet ingredient growing right by your boots. If you are incredibly unlucky and happen to be one of the rare gardeners who does not naturally have purslane growing in their yard, do not worry. Cultivating it intentionally is ridiculously easy. You can actually buy cultivated varieties of purslane seeds, often called golden purslane, which have slightly larger leaves and grow a bit more upright. To plant it, you literally just scatter the tiny black seeds over the surface of any empty patch of soil. Do not dig a hole, do not bury them, and do not worry about neat rows. Just toss them on the dirt and walk away. They need light to germinate, so burying them is actually a mistake. The next time it rains, they will spring to life. Once you introduce it to your garden, you will never have to buy seeds again. A single healthy purslane plant can produce over 200,000 microscopic seeds in one season. It ensures its own survival year after year, providing you with a permanent self-sustaining food source. There is a fascinating paradox when it comes to using purslane as a weed control strategy. When people try to eradicate it, they pull it up, which disturbs the soil. This disturbance actually brings thousands of dormant, nasty weed seeds to the surface, causing an explosion of terrible spiky weeds like crabgrass or bindweed. But if you practice smart, lazy gardening and allow the purslane to establish a dense green carpet over your bare dirt, it completely shades out the competition. Those deep-rooted, obnoxious weeds simply cannot get the sunlight they need to germinate beneath the thick canopy of purslane. By embracing this one beneficial weed, you are actively preventing the growth of dozens of genuinely harmful weeds that would choke out your vegetables. It is a biological shield. You are letting nature do the weeding for you. You get to sit back in your lawn chair, sip a cold drink, and watch your garden manage itself perfectly without breaking a sweat. Let us look at the pure economic value of making this shift in your gardening strategy. If you walk into a health food store to buy premium fish oil capsules, organic chia seeds, and high-quality olive oil to secure your dietary omega-3s and antioxidants, you are easily spending hundreds of dollars a year. Furthermore, if you go to a high-end farmer's market, specialty growers are actually starting to sell small bundles of purslane for premium prices, marketing it as an elite, gourmet foraging green. You have this exact same high-value commodity growing for free between your paving stones and alongside your cucumbers. By incorporating it into your daily diet, you are directly cutting down your grocery and supplement bills. Homesteading is not just about growing food, it is about creating financial independence and true self-sufficiency. Stop treating a high-value asset like trash and start capitalizing on the free premium nutrition that your land is eager to give you. Another brilliant use for purslane in the smart garden is as an indicator plant. Plants can communicate with us if we simply know how to read their signals. Purslane is incredibly resilient, but it does have a preference for where it grows. It loves compacted, hard-pan soils, and it thrives in areas where calcium and phosphorus might be slightly out of balance. If you notice a massive explosion of purslane in one specific corner of your raised bed, it is telling you something vital about your soil structure. It is signaling that the dirt there is likely too compacted for delicate roots, and that the purslane is moving in to break it up and fix the problem. Instead of getting angry, thank the plant for the free soil analysis. You can let it grow there for the season to do its deep tilling work naturally. This saves you the time, energy, and money of sending soil samples to a laboratory. The garden is literally diagnosing and treating itself right before your eyes. For those of you who might have limited space, or perhaps only have a concrete patio or a balcony to work with, purslane is an absolute miracle for container gardening. Because it requires virtually no root depth compared to heavy feeders like squash or tomatoes, it will thrive happily in shallow pots, window boxes, or even repurposed buckets. In fact, when grown in a hanging basket, the beautiful red stems will cascade dramatically over the sides, creating a stunning ornamental display that just happens to be incredibly edible. You can mix it in a large pot right at the base of a potted pepper plant. The purslane will act as a living mulch for the container, keeping the potting soil from drying out on a windy afternoon. It is the perfect solution for urban homesteaders who want maximum nutritional output from absolutely minimal square footage. You do not need acres of land to grow this superfood. You just need a handful of dirt and some sunshine. One of the most remarkable things about this plant is how it handles the end of its life cycle, which makes fall cleanup a total breeze. Traditional vegetable stalks get woody, tough, and take forever to break down in a compost pile. You often have to chop them into tiny pieces with heavy tools. But because purslane is comprised mostly of water and soft tissue, it practically melts into the soil when the first hard frost of autumn hits. If you just leave the dead plants right where they are on the surface of your garden beds, they will rapidly decompose over the winter. As they break down, they release all that stored-up water, omega-3s, and trace minerals directly back into the topsoil. It acts as an instant, zero-effort green manure. The earthworms absolutely love it, and they will pull the soft organic matter down deep into the earth. You never have to lift a pitchfork. The garden cleans itself, feeds itself, and prepares for the next spring all on its own. If you are raising backyard chickens or ducks as part of your self-sufficiency journey, purslane is about to become your favorite secret weapon. We know that eggs from free-range chickens have darker yolks and higher nutritional value because the birds forage for diverse greens and bugs. When you supplement your flock's diet with buckets of purslane, something incredible happens. The massive amounts of omega-3 fatty acids in the plant are transferred directly into the eggs. You can naturally produce high omega-3 premium eggs without buying expensive specialized feed from the farm store. The chickens go absolutely crazy for the crunchy, juicy leaves, especially during the sweltering heat of August when the grass has turned brown and dry. It provides them with essential hydration and cooling nutrients. You are turning a free garden weed into premium, high-dollar protein for your family, creating a perfect closed-loop system on your homestead with zero waste. Let us pause for a second and think about the historical irony of our modern gardening habits. We spend ridiculous amounts of energy burning fossil fuels in our tillers and spraying synthetic herbicides, all to create a sterile environment for vegetables that are incredibly weak and prone to disease. We fight nature at every single step, which is the exact opposite of lazy gardening. Nature is incredibly smart. When a patch of soil is laid bare, nature immediately sends in the first responders to cover it, cool it, and repair it. Purslane is nature's premium first responder. By recognizing its value, you are stepping out of the exhausting role of a garden dictator and stepping into the role of a garden conductor. You start directing the natural symphony instead of fighting the music. You let the purslane cover the ground, you let it feed the worms, and you let it nourish your body. It is a profound shift in mindset that takes the heavy burden of labor entirely off your shoulders. You might hear some old-school gardeners warn you about oxalates in purslane, claiming it is dangerous. It is true that purslane contains oxalic acid, just like spinach, chard, and beet greens do. But unless you have a history of specific types of kidney stones, this is completely a non-issue for the average healthy person. The benefits of the towering amounts of omega-3s, vitamins, and minerals vastly outweigh the presence of oxalates. Furthermore, if you are truly concerned, cooking the purslane by steaming or boiling it for just a few minutes dramatically reduces the oxalic acid content, making it incredibly safe. Alternatively, pairing raw purslane in a salad with a calcium-rich food, like a sprinkle of feta cheese or a dash of yogurt dressing, binds the oxalates in your digestive tract before they can ever cause an issue. It is a tiny, easily managed detail that should never stop you from taking advantage of this free, abundant superfood. Ultimately, creating a sustainable, low-effort garden is about learning to identify the gifts you are given. The most resilient, nutrient-dense crops are often the ones that plant themselves. When you embrace purslane, you are choosing to work smarter, not harder. You are choosing a path where you harvest more food, get more nutrition, and spend significantly less time bent over in the hot sun pulling weeds. This is the absolute core philosophy of the smart gardener. You transform a chore into a harvest. The next time you walk out to your raised beds and see those thick reddish stems and bright green fleshy leaves spreading across the dirt, do not reach for your garden hoe. Reach for your salad bowl. Let it grow. Let it thrive. And let it do the hard work of protecting your soil for you. You will save money, you will improve your cardiovascular health, and you will finally be able to sit back and truly enjoy the tranquil beauty of your self-sustaining backyard oasis. The greatest secret to effortless gardening isn't a new tool or an expensive fertilizer. It is changing how you see the world around you. Who would have thought that the very plant you have been aggressively ripping out of your garden for years holds the secret to better heart health than olive oil and packs 3 times more omega-3s than wild salmon? By simply leaving this miraculous little succulent alone, you protect your soil, defeat invasive weeds, and secure a constant 5-minute harvest of premium superfoods for your family, all with absolutely zero labor. That is the true definition of smart, self-sufficient homesteading. Working with nature will always save you years of heavy lifting. I hope this video completely changes the way you look at your vegetable beds tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of our smart gardening community. If this information blew your mind, please hit that subscribe button, give the video a big thumbs up, and share it with a friend who is still breaking their back weeding. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you going to stop pulling purslane and start eating it this summer, or do you still consider it an enemy weed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let us get the conversation started.